Seth Rollins has never been afraid of anyone. Until now. At least, that's what he told us. But last night? That smile cracked. Because Roman Reigns didn't just come back, he came back armed. Armed with a new shield. A new mission. And a message that hit like a sledgehammer. Seth. You betrayed me once. Now I finish what you started. The crowd didn't cheer. They froze. This wasn't Roman, the tribal chief. This was something colder. More dangerous. And when he pointed at Paul Heyman, even Paul backed away. What happened to their alliance? Why is Roman targeting Rollins? And who the hell are these new Shield members? This isn't a comeback. It's a declaration of war. And Seth Rollins? For the first time in his career, he looks like the hunted. Let's talk about what we witnessed last night, because it wasn't just another WWE segment. It was a psychological breakdown captured in real time. Seth Rollins, the man who calls himself the architect, the mastermind who betrayed the Shield, who ended friendships for championships, who built his entire career on being one step ahead of everyone else, that man showed fear. Real, genuine, bone-deep fear. You could see it in his eyes the moment Roman's music hit. That cocky smirk he always wears. Gone. Replaced by something we've never seen from Seth Rollins before. Uncertainty. Vulnerability. The look of a man who suddenly realized he might have pushed the wrong person too far. But here's what's really got me angry, and it should make you angry too. WWE has been lying to us about Seth Rollins for years. They've sold us this narrative that he's the ultimate opportunist, the guy who's always in control, always has a plan. But last night exposed the truth. Seth Rollins is a coward who's spent his entire career running from the consequences of his actions. Remember when he destroyed the Shield? He didn't face Roman and Dean like a man. He attacked them from behind with a steel chair. When he cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania, he didn't earn that moment through strength or skill, he stole it from two men who had beaten each other senseless. And now, after years of hiding behind corporate protection, behind his architect persona, behind his so-called evolution as a character, the chickens have come home to roost. Roman Reigns is back, and he's not here to play games or cut promos about respect and acknowledgement. He's here to collect a debt that's been outstanding for over a decade. But let's talk about what really sent chills down everyone's spine last night. Roman didn't come back alone. He came back with backup. And not just any backup, he came back with what he's calling the real Shield. The two men flanking Roman weren't revealed by name, but their presence spoke volumes. Both were massive, both carried themselves with military precision, and both wore expressions that suggested they were ready to inflict serious damage on anyone who got in their way. This isn't a nostalgic reunion. This isn't Roman trying to recapture the magic of the original Shield. This is Roman Reigns building something new, something more dangerous, something specifically designed to hunt down and destroy Seth Rollins. And here's what's really twisted about this whole situation. Roman's new Shield members weren't chosen for their wrestling ability or their mic skills. They were chosen for one specific purpose, to make Seth Rollins' life a living hell. During the segment, Roman made it crystal clear that these men have been studying Seth's every move, learning his weaknesses, preparing for this moment. You think you know Seth Rollins? Roman asked the crowd. You think you understand what makes him tick? We've spent months breaking him down, piece by piece, weakness by weakness. The implications of that statement are terrifying. This isn't just about revenge, it's about systematic destruction. But the moment that really sealed Seth's fate was when Roman turned his attention to Paul Heyman. The look on Paul's face said everything. This wasn't the reunion of old allies, this was an interrogation. Paul, Roman said, his voice carrying that cold authority that made him the most feared man in WWE. You've been very quiet lately. Very diplomatic. Tell me, who have you been talking to? The crowd could feel the tension building. Paul Heyman, the wise man, the advocate, the ultimate survivor in WWE's political landscape, was visibly nervous. And when Paul Heyman is nervous, you know something big is about to happen. Paul started, but Roman cut him off with a gesture. I know about your meetings with Seth. I know about your conversations with Triple H. I know about your little insurance policy. The look of shock on Paul's face was genuine. This wasn't scripted surprise, this was the real deal. Roman had clearly been doing his homework during his time away, and Paul's web of alliances and backup plans had been exposed. You thought you could play both sides, Roman continued. You thought you could keep your options open. But there are no options anymore, Paul. There's only loyalty. And you've already shown me where yours really lies. What followed was Paul Heyman backing away from Roman, actually showing physical fear of the man he once called family. This is Paul Heyman we're talking about, the man who survived ECW, who managed Brock Lesnar, who's been in the ring with the most dangerous wrestlers in the world. And he was backing away from Roman Reigns like his life depended on it. Here's where things get really interesting, and really disturbing. Roman's plan for Seth isn't just about getting revenge in the ring. It's about dismantling everything Seth has built, piece by piece, relationship by relationship. During the segment, Roman's new Shield members were shown footage they had apparently compiled, security camera footage of Seth in various locations, training footage, even personal moments that Seth thought were private. The message was clear, they've been watching, studying, preparing. Seth, you think you're paranoid now? Roman asked, staring directly into the camera. You think you're looking over your shoulder now? You have no idea what paranoia really feels like. But you're about to learn. This isn't just wrestling storytelling, this is psychological warfare. Roman isn't just coming for Seth's championships or his position on the roster. He's coming for his peace of mind, his sense of security, his ability to trust anyone around him. And the most disturbing part? It's working. You could see it in Seth's body language throughout the segment. The way he kept looking around, checking exits, positioning himself near the ropes. The way his hands were shaking slightly when he held the microphone. The way his voice cracked when he tried to respond to Roman's accusations. Seth Rollins, the man who built his career on being in control, was completely out of control. But Roman wasn't finished. In what might be the most psychologically brutal segment WWE has ever aired, Roman began revealing specific details about Seth's life that no one should have known. Tell me, Seth, Roman said, his voice getting quieter, more menacing. How's your sleep been lately? Having any interesting dreams? Any nightmares? The crowd was dead silent. This wasn't typical wrestling banter, this was personal, invasive, disturbing. I know about the therapy sessions, Roman continued. I know about the medication. I know about the 3 a.m. phone calls to your trainer, wondering if you're losing a step, wondering if you're still good enough. Seth's face went white. These weren't public knowledge. These weren't things that had been reported in wrestling media. These were private, personal details that Roman somehow had access to. How? Seth finally managed to ask, his voice barely above a whisper. Roman's smile was the coldest thing I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. I told you, Seth. I've been watching. I've been learning. And I've been preparing. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Seth looked around the arena as if he was seeing it for the first time, as if he was suddenly aware that anyone could be watching him, studying him, reporting back to Roman. But the real knockout punch came when Roman addressed the elephant in the room, Seth's current alliances and relationships within WWE. You think Triple H is going to protect you? Roman asked. You think your little corporate friends are going to keep you safe? Let me tell you something, Seth, they've already thrown you to the wolves. They just haven't told you yet. What followed was a series of revelations that shook the foundations of WWE's power structure. Roman revealed that Triple H had been in discussions about transitioning Seth to a different role. That certain executives had been questioning Seth's drawing power. That plans were already in motion to move Seth down the card, regardless of what happened with Roman. "They're using you as bait," Roman explained. "They're hoping I'll be satisfied with destroying you, that I'll leave everyone else alone. But here's the thing, Seth, I'm not just coming for you. I'm coming for everyone who thought they could use me, manipulate me, control me." The implications were staggering. Roman wasn't just targeting Seth, he was targeting WWE's entire power structure, from the executives to the locker room leaders to anyone who had played a role in his previous exile from the company. As if the psychological warfare wasn't enough, Roman decided to give everyone a preview of what his new shield was capable of. Without warning, his two companions moved with military precision, surrounding Seth and cutting off his escape routes. But they didn't attack. They didn't lay a finger on him. They just stood there, silent, intimidating, creating a cage of human muscle and menace around Seth Rollins. "This is what helplessness feels like," Roman said, watching Seth's growing panic. "This is what it's like to be trapped, to have no options, to know that everything you've built can be taken away in an instant." The crowd was on the edge of their seats, expecting violence, expecting chaos. But what they got was something much more unsettling, a demonstration of complete control. Roman had Seth exactly where he wanted him, and he didn't even need to throw a punch to prove it. "But not tonight," Roman finally said, gesturing for his Shield members to step back. "Tonight, I want you to go home. I want you to lock your doors. I want you to check your security system. I want you to lie awake in bed, wondering when we're coming for you." The psychological impact was immediate. Seth's relief at not being attacked was overshadowed by the promise of future torment. This wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. The segment ended with Roman and his new Shield leaving the ring, but the damage was done. Seth stood alone in the ring, looking around at an audience that had just witnessed his complete psychological breakdown. But the real story was what happened next. Backstage interviews revealed a WWE roster that was genuinely shaken by what they had witnessed. Wrestlers who had been rivals of Seth were expressing concern. Wrestlers who had been allies were distancing themselves. The entire social structure of WWE had been disrupted by one segment. "I've never seen anything like that," one veteran wrestler said in a backstage interview. "That wasn't wrestling. That was something else." Other wrestlers were more direct in their concerns. "If Roman can do that to Seth Rollins, what's he going to do to the rest of us?" asked one mid-card performer. "How do we protect ourselves from someone who's been watching us, studying us, preparing to destroy us?" The paranoia was spreading. Roman's psychological warfare against Seth was having the intended effect. It was making everyone in WWE question their security, their privacy, their safety. Here's what's really disturbing about this entire situation, and why it should make every wrestling fan uncomfortable: Roman Reigns is right. Seth Rollins did betray the Shield. He did destroy the most dominant faction in WWE history for personal gain. He did spend years hiding behind corporate protection while his former brothers struggled to rebuild their careers. And now, after years of avoiding consequences, after years of being protected by management, after years of being portrayed as the victim in his own story, Seth is finally facing the reckoning he always deserved. But Roman's methods are crossing lines that even the most hardcore wrestling fans find disturbing. This isn't just about settling scores in the ring, it's about psychological torture, invasion of privacy, and the systematic destruction of a human being's peace of mind. The question becomes, does Seth deserve this level of punishment? Does anyone deserve to have their private moments exposed, their personal struggles weaponized, their sense of security completely destroyed? As we wrap up this breakdown, one thing is crystal clear: everything has changed. The WWE that existed before last night's segment is gone. In its place is something darker, more dangerous, more psychologically complex. Roman Reigns has declared war not just on Seth Rollins, but on the entire concept of safety and security in WWE. His new Shield represents something we've never seen before, a faction built not on friendship or shared goals, but on the singular purpose of hunting down and destroying specific targets. Seth Rollins, for the first time in his career, is completely out of his depth. He's facing an enemy who knows his every weakness, who has access to his most private moments, who has been planning this confrontation for months or even years. More importantly, what happens when they turn their attention to their next target? Because make no mistake, Seth Rollins is just the beginning. This isn't just a wrestling storyline anymore. It's a psychological thriller playing out in real time, with real consequences for everyone involved. Roman Reigns has weaponized paranoia, and the entire WWE roster is about to learn what it feels like to be hunted. The most terrifying part? We're all just watching, waiting to see who gets caught first. Seth Rollins built his career on being the hunter. Now he's learning what it feels like to be the prey. And frankly, he's not handling it well. The architect of his own destruction is about to discover that some bridges, once burned, create enemies that never forget, never forgive, and never stop hunting. Roman Reigns is back. And Seth Rollins will never feel safe again. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.